If you had the ability to see into the future, would you consider it a gift or a curse? Say you see the future of someone you don't know and something terrible is going to happen to them. Now that you possess that knowledge, do you have a moral obligation to change their future? If so, how would you even help someone you don't know? These ideas and more are touched upon in the Tsukihime side story Alliance of Illusionary Eyes. For those of you who guessed Satsuki on the last video, sorry, but here at Type Moon June, we maintain the agenda of not talking about Satsuki until after Red Garden is released. But I do thank you for guessing. This short story was originally released in 2001 as a part of Tsukihime Plus disc. It takes place 2 months after the events of Tsukihime. The new year is slowly approaching. Our narrator is a visitor in town, trying to escape from a vision that's been haunting him for the last month. In this vision, he was holding a knife and dismembering people. While this person is no stranger to strange things thanks to his eyes, he can't shake this vision. Wandering aimlessly, he hears a frantic plea. "You shouldn't commit murder!" A girl shouts from the crowd behind him. All eyes are drawn to her frantic pleas, but no one gives her any mind. The crowd writes her off as a crazy person, but the girl does not care how she looks. She repeats her plea to no one in particular. That's all our narrator needed to hear to take an interest. He approaches the girl and brings her aside. Despite her boldness, it's very obvious that she is incredibly embarrassed and nervous. She looks him straight in the face and musters up the courage to ask, "Are you the one who's going to commit murder?" For the time being, the narrator takes the sheepish girl to a restaurant. He tries his best to break the ice, but is failing horribly. He can't get a single peep out of the girl that was screaming to the world about murder just 10 minutes ago. Although this doesn't deter our protagonist from getting some strawberry pie, because apparently it would look weird to order a pie as a man alone, but since he's with a girl, it's a-okay. Sounds like he needs confidence more than he needs the pie. But when raspberry cheesecake is brought into the equation, she opens up a bit. No better time to go for a question than now. So he asks what we're all wondering. What's up with that business in the park? Well, this girl, she's clairvoyant. She can see the future, but our narrator is one step ahead and already figured that was the case. Surprised, the girl asks who this person is. After stuffing his face with some pie, he reveals that he is in fact the one and only Shiki Tono. The mysterious girl in question is Akira Seo. Shiki is used to strange things in his life, so he just figured that this girl could see into the future by the way she was acting. Although, this is the first time someone asked him if he was going to kill someone. Akira explains that she can see the future. It's not an everyday occurrence, but after a vision is complete, she remembers all of the details, but can't picture it. These visions end up coming true, but with a little effort she can change the outcome, which she has done a number of times before. Akira expects Shiki to laugh, but he believes her. I mean, we know what Shiki's been through. Some mild clairvoyance is nothing to him. Shiki is surprised that the future can be changed though. At this point, Shiki pretty much gets what's going on. While walking in the crowd, Akira saw something so heinous she couldn't ignore it, but wasn't able to zero in on who the vision was actually about in the dense crowd, which led to her raving like a lunatic. While noble, Shiki points out that if someone was going to commit murder and heard her yelling about it, they'd probably be after her too, painting a target on her own back. Akira didn't anticipate this. As careless as that was, the sight really was so awful that she acted without thinking about the repercussions. That's all Shiki needed to hear to offer to help, because he can tell that she's gonna go looking for this murderer with or without his help. Thanks to his own special eyes, he assures Akira that they can catch the culprit. But before they embark on this adventure, he has a simple request. Call him by his first name, Shiki, rather than by his family name, Tono. A bell goes off in Akira's head. Shiki Tono? As in Tono-senpai's brother? Shiki isn't the first Tono Akira's met, as she's friends with everyone's favorite giraffe neck having sister. Both are on the student council at their school and are friends? Shiki has one more request. Please keep this a secret from Akira. In Akira's vision, she saw 3 murders. The first was a tan girl with dyed hair. The second was an older man wearing yellow overalls missing an arm and a leg. And the final victim was an average-looking woman who was missing her hands. In her last vision, Akira thinks she sees the killer himself. He had a knife and, while she doesn't want to admit it, he looked a lot like Shiki, but he had no glasses and was a couple of years younger. But she keeps that info to herself for the time being. Shiki feels like he has enough info to start his search and promises to contact her the next day. They try to exchange contact info, but Akira is staying in a hotel for the time being, so if Shiki wanted to contact her, he's just gonna have to call the hotel. This gets a bit of a reaction out of him. If it wasn't obvious, this is the same hotel Arcuaid and Shiki encountered Nero Chaos in. I can only imagine the deal Akira got. Honestly, I'm surprised they're still in business and not sued into the ground. Also, keep in mind that this was written in 2000, 2001, so cell phones weren't widely adopted as they are now, so, he couldn't just, text her. The two part ways for the day, but just as Akira gets up to leave, she gets another vision. A dark night. The moon hangs over a school gym. 2 men are facing each other. Shiki and a boy without glasses. And the boy stabs Shiki. Akira rushes out of the restaurant to warn Shiki, but he's long gone. Back at her hotel room, Akira is worried sick. Shiki is going to be attacked by the killer, but she has no way to contact him. But wait, she might not have Shiki's number, but she does have Akira's. Akira busts out her address book and gives her senpai a call. Mustering up the courage to talk, she gets Akira on the phone. Akira is surprised that Akira called her, and even more surprised when she name drops her brother on a first name basis. Akira almost crushes the phone in shock, but when Akira hears Shiki in the background, she frantically asks for him to be put on. While his voice is a bit different over the phone and makes Akira unreasonably excited, she's able to warn Shiki to the best of her ability. Don't walk around at night, especially at the gym. Hangs up the phone. Nailed it. Akira can now sleep peacefully knowing that she saved Shiki from a bad future. The next day, Shiki is reading the newspaper. Despite their best efforts, it seems the murder happened just like Akira predicted. The two meet up, and after getting some lunch, the pair end up at the same cafe from yesterday, because Type Moon couldn't afford to make more than one background for this story. Shiki doesn't want to upset Akira, so he decides to ease into the bad news. He leads with a simple question. Do you like your eyes? Are they a problem for you? Her eyes do give her trouble every now and then, and the bad futures she does see gets her down. She has the power to change them, so they're not something she sees as a burden. Shiki concludes that Akira's ability uses the past and future as variables that add up to predict the future. How he knows this is beyond me, but according to him, it's a good thing that she can only see the future and not the past. He then gets super nihilistic, but brings things back around. He breaks the news that the man in yellow died exactly as predicted. In a jolt, Akira stands up like she's gonna run out of the cafe in a frantic search for the killer, but Shiki talks her down. He assures her that this isn't her fault and she isn't responsible for that man's death. The killer is. That's the thing though. Why is the person Akira saw killing people? She just can't wrap her head around it. Thankfully, she's talking to the murder expert, Shiki Tono. Shiki figures that it's because of a sexual urge or some other factor in their life. No reasonable person would kill someone. Animals kill all the time, but that's instinct. Humans don't because we have reason. Akira may not know why, but she can tell that the killer must have completely changed his life by committing such a vile act. After some more lovely murder talk, the two part ways and Shiki searches for the third victim. Just like the day before, news of the murder is in the newspaper. Once again, the two meet up at the cafe to discuss. With no more visions, there probably won't be any more murders, but even so, Akira still wants to catch the killer. Shiki understands, but can't do much based on the information Akira has given him. She really wants to tell him about the boy with the knife, but just can't get it out. What if telling him about this future makes it come true? She nervously deflects and asks Shiki to accompany her in her search for the killer. It's not likely the duo will find the killer, but it's worth a shot. The hours go by, and as the sun sets, they're no closer to catching the killer than they were 2 days ago. The pair is about to give up and grab dinner, but that's when Akira sees a boy walking with a teacher across the street. There's no doubt about it. That boy is the one who stabbed Shiki. Akira spaces out and accidentally says that out loud. Shiki is startled by this, and Akira comes clean. She tells him the reason why she was so vague on the phone call was because of a vision she had of that boy stabbing Shiki. Shiki takes a while to process this, almost like he's hearing this information for the first time. He quickly accepts this and hails a cab to bring the two of them to the school. Shiki knows who the killer is. It's his sensei. At the school, Shiki picks the lock, takes Akira's hand, and heads towards the gym. All of Akira's worst fears are coming true. At this rate, Shiki is gonna get stabbed faster than someone asking for directions in Birmingham. Something is off though. A stray question pops into Akira's mind. She asks Shiki if he attends this school. He confirms that, but Shiki is much older than Akira. According to himself, he's 21. Oh, so then he must be a teacher, right? Nope. He's neither a student nor a teacher. But Shiki Tono does go to this school. But isn't he Shiki? Oh, looks like Akira is getting a call here. That is not Shiki Tono. Just like that, the friendly facade slips, and the person claiming to be Shiki Tono reveals his true colors. Akira tries to get away, but he holds onto her tightly, brandishing an enormous hunting knife. Bewildered, all she can say is why. Well, Shiki wanted to part ways with Akira today, but since he's going to get stabbed by the real Shiki, the only way to avoid that is to kill Akira, changing the future. This is half her fault, according to him. No killer would leave Akira alone after hearing what she said in the park. But why would Shiki care? The murders hadn't been committed yet. While it's true the second and third hadn't been committed yet, Shiki admits that he had just wrapped up the first killing an hour or so before meeting her for the first time. After learning about Akira's visions, he set out to kill the other two based off of the info he got from Akira. Shiki reveals that he does have a special power, but it's not the mystic eyes of death perception or precognition. He can see the past. See isn't exactly the right word, because unlike Akira, who sees events first and then remembers the details, Shiki empathizes with the pasts he sees. He likens it to a sort of mental induction. A month ago, Shiki saw the real Shiki on the street and saw his entire past. While it's not clear how much detail he got from the experience besides the hotel massacre, which he directly references, it's clear that seeing his past rocked his world in a really bad way. The killer is done explaining things, but throws in one last jab. If she met the real Shiki, her future would be different. But maybe not, because the real Shiki is a killer just like him. With that, he thrusts the knife into Akira's chest, killing her. Except the knife never meets its target. Akira looks towards Shiki. He's holding his hand in pain, and the knife is gone. The boy she saw from afar is here. The real Shiki Tono stands before them. He heard the whole story and wants to know why some random person is impersonating him. Thanks to this bozo imposter, Senpai has been hounding him for days. I like to imagine Shiki was walking home one day, and Ciel was just standing on top of a light post, as she does, and was just like, "Hi, Tono, commit any murders lately?" Shiki asks the imposter if he's going to come quietly, and warns if he doesn't, the person hiding in the trees won't go easy on him. Imposter Shiki scoffs and picks up his knife. The person who is more of a murderer than he is talking down to him? Shiki quickly corrects him. Maybe his ability to see the past isn't as accurate as he thinks. Perhaps he watched the anime instead of reading the visual novel. Shiki takes a step towards his doppelganger. The imposter pleads with Shiki. "We're not so different, you and I. We both love murder." The imposter believes that life is a predetermined race we're all stuck in. By experiencing the past of Shiki, the imposter found a way out of this race. To be reborn, you have to die, but death is meaningless, so murder is the escape. He grew bored of life and saw no point in taking part of something that has been unchanging for hundreds of years. The fake Shiki truly believes that there is no meaning to life, and those who live it should be slaughtered like animals. In response, Shiki drops one of the coldest lines in Type Moon history. I don't want to tell you something so obvious, but if you hated this world so much, why didn't you just kill yourself? You said murder is the easiest method, but isn't suicide a much easier way to quit this predetermined race? But you can't, right? That's why all you could do is take it out on others. Life is no fun, life is meaningless, how pitiful. You're the one living meaninglessly. You lived for tens of years, but couldn't find anything worthwhile. The imposter tries to retort that he's never felt more alive, but Shiki calls him out for what he is. A coward who's afraid he can't go back to his previous life that he thought he hated, but now in retrospect might have not been so bad. The imposter's life hasn't changed. It ended the moment he took someone else's away. Shiki removes his glasses. His mystic eyes pierce the dark night. A palpable tension fills the air, and the imposter couldn't be happier. Akira compares it to how someone would look at their lover. The imposter seems to do a complete 180, stating he has to live to atone for his sins, and Shiki agrees that if he intends to atone, he can't kill him. That's just what he wanted to hear. The imposter grips his knife tighter. He says that Shiki sees him as a killer, and a killer wouldn't let a criminal like him atone. Before another word could be spoken from his mouth, Shiki's knife flies through the air. The imposter cries out in pain, a single, simple slash. The imposter falls to the ground, alive, but unconscious. Shiki helps Akira to her feet. She's no worse for wear, but is really embarrassed being so close to Shiki. She questions if it'll be okay to leave the imposter as he is. He assures Akira that his senpai will take care of the rest. But Akira wants to know, how was Shiki able to find her? The answer is quite simple. He just took the phone call seriously, and it just happened to lead to the killer he and Ciel were looking for. He offers to take her back to the hotel, but all that almost getting killed by a serial killer pretending to be my friend's brother builds up quite the appetite, and her tummy rumbles loudly. Plans quickly change to dinner, but when Shiki opens his wallet, he only has 500 yen. He can't offer her an extravagant meal, but can offer her some stall soba. Akira tries her best to offer to treat Shiki for saving her, but all she can embarrassingly muster is, I love soba. The two embark on their adventure to get cheap soba, but Akira gets one last vision for the road. One of herself with Shiki and Akira, having a good time. And that was the story of the short-lived Alliance of Illusionary Eyes. I encourage you to read it yourself, as this video was only a surface-level retelling, plus the story is only about 40 minutes, so it's a quick and worthwhile read. This one was always a personal favorite of mine. I love stories involving precognition, and Nasu has an interesting take on the ability. Revisiting this story for this video really got me thinking. I can't help but wonder if the fake Shiki is supposed to be a commentary on people misinterpreting Tsukihime. The killer holds Shiki in high regard and even refers to him as his sensei after seeing his past. And when his back is to the wall, he is over the moon about it, even though he thinks Shiki is going to kill him. It feels on the nose, especially when Shiki comes out at the end and dismantles the imposter's entire worldview. Almost like the writer himself is telling you that the people who interpreted Tsukihime like the killer did are just flat out wrong. However, this could also be an allegory for copycat killers that idolize murderers in real life and try to replicate them. Just some food for thought, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about this in the comments. There is definitely a meta element to this story. At the time, Shiki didn't have a sprite or a full design. If you went in blind, it would be easy to be tricked like Akira. Although, if you really pay attention, you can tell something's up with him, and when you reread the story, it's a lot more apparent that this guy was being deceptive from the get-go. Nowadays, I think this twist isn't as impactful because of Melty Blood and other media that features Shiki. We all know what he looks like, and he definitely does not have purple hair. I do like that he's wearing gloves when he tries to kill Akira. It's just a nice touch and makes him come off as a bit more sinister. The imposter Shiki is like a mirror image of the man himself. When Shiki kills for the first time in Tsukihime, he immediately feels a guilt so intense he either denies reality or loses all sense of self-preservation and almost freezes to death in the rain. The imposter, on the other hand, murders as a part of his twisted worldview and never shows any remorse. The only emotion he does show is cowardice, like Shiki said. He's scared he can't go back to his regular life, which is something that Shiki himself grapples with in Tsukihime. Luckily for him, he killed a 100-year-old resurrecting vampire. The imposter gets a similar opportunity to change when he runs into Akira, but uses it as an excuse to keep killing, even though he knew the future could be changed. He basically spits in the face of Shiki while delusionally thinking he's some sort of disciple, and it makes the confrontation between the two all the more satisfying. But enough about Joe No Name over here. Akira, despite only being a middle schooler, is surprisingly selfless. She got the murder vision and didn't even think twice about her well-being. She knows she can change the future and tried her best, despite her limited powers. She was simply just unlucky to run into the guy who was pretending to be her friend's brother because he can see the past and he's psycho crazy. Akira would appear 2 more times in Kagetsu Toya and in one of Akiha's endings in Melty Blood Actress Again. In Kagetsu Toya, her relationship with Akiha is expanded upon. Akira idolizes Akiha, but is close enough to her to know about her scary side. Her secret hobby is writing doujinshi in her spare time. She's not the deepest character in the Type Moon verse, but that doesn't stop her from placing 8th in a popularity poll from November of 2001. Who knows if we'll ever see her again? My best bet would be a cameo in Akiha's route in the remake. Maybe. I doubt she'd ever be in Melty, and the same goes for the imposter. Thanks to him, there are like 9 Shikis, which amuses me. And you know what? We could always use more. Mio, she is Shiki Tono, but from the multiverse. Goto, age-accelerated clone of Shiki created by Kohaku and Makahisa that has Shiki and Koma's DNA, making him their son and the ultimate killing machine, more powerful than all of the Shikis combined. It'll be peak. Trust me. But that's all for this character, or should I say, story spotlight. Next time on Type Moon June, I hope you like crossovers because it's gonna be a crossover extravaganza on weird fighting games. Since no one guessed who this video was about, I'll give you guys the opportunity to redeem yourselves. My only clues are, it's a fighting game and it has a Type Moon character in it. Until that time comes, have a happy Type Moon June.